primitive proletariat into a political protagonist, a subject capable to use democratic institutions to build cultivated political participation, which is the substance of democracy. Keeping in the same time its alternative character, not identifying itself with the system as the Social Democrat did, precisely because they kept alive a general historical vision of the world and a critical thinking. The weakness of the left today derives precisely from the loss of this view, a void hidden behind an apparent realism, and in Italy by the Berlusconi culture. I don't go on, and I conclude. Yes, we have in Italy a great revival of struggles. After a long time, factory workers, metal workers are coming back in the streets. Students, teachers, immigrants, especially women, millions of women. Big, frequent demonstration against the scandals of Berlusconi. So all this is great. They are all important cracks in the hegemonic Berlusconi model. But they do not seem to reinvigorate the fragmented left, nor to have any impact on the various formations that are proposing in one way or in another to build a center-left coalition capable of beating Berlusconi. So don't say that I am pessimist. I only want to say, please don't think that there are shortcuts.
Thank you very much, Luciana. Teivo Teivainen biography is an autobiography complicated to summarize in a few seconds. He's a research director of the Center of Excellence in Global Governance Research at the University of Helsinki. He has been working in many countries too, for example in Peru. And he's an expert of Latin America. He's also a founding member of the International Council of the World Social Forum, and his book includes Enter Economies, Exit Politics, and A Possible War. It's your turn, Teivo.
Thank you. Wonderful to be here and be able to, I guess you hear me, right? To speak after and with all these eminent folks here that have raised wonderful questions. I'd like to point to two contradictions that I see becoming clearer with this crisis like right now, and that might open some new opportunities for the anti-capitalist left in the world today. The first of them being connected to something that in the left we call either the question of imperialism, the coloniality issue, the question that some even today call between the developing and developed world. And now with the crisis in places like Europe, where we see not only organizations like Standard & Poor's and Moody's coming and putting disciplinary power over our economic policies, but actually the International Monetary Fund also entering Europe. We are in a situation where looking at like Latin America, where I've lived for like 10 years, from places like Finland, I think like paraphrasing something somebody probably never said, like, I've been to Peru and I've seen the future. I've seen some glimpses of the future of what is happening in places like Finland, with precarity increasing, flexibilization of labor, the growth of the so-called informal sector, the immigration question, and the increasing power of credit rating agencies on economic policies. So many things that many people, including we on the left, have thought, like Comrade Marx said when he looked at India, and said that when India looks at the UK, India sees its future there. And there is certain truth to that, but that is perhaps the dimension where we in the left need to rethink some of the issues of Comrade Marx, and not only think that we in the North are the future, but now actually what is happening in the North, we can see glimpses of possible futures in the South. And this is why, for example, now in spaces like the World Social Forum, we are debating the possibility of organizing the global World Social Forum for the first time in the North. Because the idea is that the South needs to come to help the North. The South needs to teach the North. Of course, it's not just the other way around, but it's a question of learning to learn together and breaking with racist pedagogies of power that produce the idea that non-white poor of the South are childlike. Every time we use the concept of developing country as opposed to developed country, we participate in reproduction of the racist idea that the non-white majorities of the South are childlike. And in the left, we continue reproducing that. So we need a lot of rethinking there. And in the South, in Latin America, there are thinkers around the question of coloniality that could help us, give us many tools in that issue. Something where Comrade Marx has much more to tell us is on the contradiction between the economic and the political in capitalism. And there I believe, like when Mochael Lowy was speaking on this thing like capitalism has no ethics, right? Which is to a certain extent true. But it's something that we in the left should pay more attention to, that there's something happening in the world where capitalists are moving away from the comfort zone of their traditional methods of legitimation. Because capitalism is based on the idea on the separation between the political and the economic, and the idea that democratic claims are possible only in the political sphere and not in the economic sphere. The contradiction is that after the successful expansion of capitalism and commodification, the economic sphere has grown so big that its inherently political nature is becoming more visible. And that's why we see things like capitalists starting to talk about corporate social responsibility, even though it goes against the whole idea of capitalist legitimation, which is that it's a totally apolitical kind of thing. So I believe that when we pay attention to the ways capitalists have to move away from their traditional comfort zones, because now if you ask producer of cell phones, Nokia for example, what about the minerals in Congo that are needed for your cell phones? They cannot say only that, oh, our only responsibility to increase the profits of our shareholders, because we are a purely economic institution. They invent all kinds of ways around it with this capitalist, with this corporate social responsibility thing. And perhaps, and I'm not saying we should believe it, that change comes through their benevolence. No, not at all. But when they said it, we should say, yes, you've gone halfway away from your traditional basis of legitimacy and economic neutrality. We're going to open that door, break that, and come there and discuss politically your internal organization and the role of your corporations in this world. Not because we believe that you're going to make those changes yourselves, but because that way we can help delegitimize you, and we can use the democratic flag in our struggles to create this different world here. And I think here we can, in the left, in the anti-capitalist left today, when the politicization of the economic has become more clear, we can learn for example, from our feminist comrades, who were in very clever way using the slogan, the personal is political. And that slogan was a necessary step in all kinds of things whereby violence within family or questions of childcare became politicized. And then there were some changes, not revolutionary changes, but some changes in that context. For example, rape within family was not made illegal in my country, which is considered not a sort of horror land in terms of feminist issues, very, very recently. And it would not have been possible unless we have the idea that it's a political, the patriarchal family is political. So now when the movements are saying capitalist space, capitalist economy is political, what should we do then? What kinds of conclusions should we make? And one of the things is now, for example, in the corporate social responsibility, we can think of the analogy. Let's assume that the patriarchal fathers in those times get together and say, yeah, we have family social responsibility. Okay, you make claims that our patriarchal family is political. Fine, we accept that, but let us get our act together and act as responsible patriarchal fathers. We promise not to rape anymore. But you shouldn't make binding laws about that. So in the same way, what capitalists are telling us with their corporate social responsibility is something similar. But the similarity is also that they have halfway accepted the fact that the inherently political nature of capitalism is becoming more visible, and we need to take more advantage of that and break that door and make democratic claims and imagine democratic alternatives. And I'd love to give you a very detailed explanation on all kinds of democratic alternatives on global scale, on local scale and all that. But I think our chair will get nervous if I start doing that, so I just thank you.